Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and we are expecting the final balance patch of 2023 to land this week. It's been confirmed by the devs already that there will be a patch after Worlds, which will likely be pretty buff-centric. But if you take a look at the win rate across all ranks, and also the fact that every single competitor at Worlds brought Paladin, I think we'll probably see some nerfs. So we will predict on this video, what cards I think will get nerfed in, maybe what I think should get buffed in. As always, feel free to share your opinions in the comments down below. And if you feel like I've earned your subscription and you enjoy the content on the channel, and you also want to find out what these nerfs are when they go live, we'll be up to date as soon as it gets posted. Please hit that sub button down below to give the video a like. It helps us out a lot. So yeah, Paladin way up there in terms of win rate. You take a look at the bottom of the barrel. Demon Hunter, I don't know why, like the Naga Sharpshooter DH is very good. It's got a positive win rate at like Legend, but I guess outside of that, there's nothing really good that people want to play. Demon Hunter, Reno DH is bad. Big Demon Hunter is not great. So maybe they'll buff some of that style of stuff. But yeah, Rogue has been struggling. Warlock also in there. And of course, Priest. I know it's showing 47%, but Priest is in a pretty bad spot. So those are the classes you're looking at buffing. And then, of course, nerfing your Paladins, your Druids, the Reno Shaman possibly, Nature Shaman possibly, and maybe you want to take a look at Rainbow Mage and all that. So one of the ways just to look for like cards that are just overperforming is just to go to see how they're performing since the latest patch. This is Diamond through Legend. Look at the mulligan win rate. A card like Dr. Holiday, if it's in your opener, you win 2/3 of the games you play. That's typically an indication of a card that could be getting nerfed. Kangor has been played 700 times, so not really a good accurate card, but you look at your Jitterbugs, I don't think that card would get nerfed, but more like your Splish Splash Whelp, your Boogie Down, your Hi-Ho Silverwing, possibly Living Horizon. Look at all the cards with high mulligan win rates in Paladin. Prismatic Beam, you could see Paladin definitely something we're gonna talk about. So let's get into it. What cards do I think will get nerfed? I don't believe Death Knight. I don't believe Demon Hunter will get nerfed, although I don't care. I'm still gonna say this card should be 4 mana. The playstyle it has is terrible. It's still a competitive deck. Almost every player brought it to Worlds. Just can't stand it. And I know I'm not alone on that. I know like Kibler had an angry tweet about it just the other day. So yeah, I know it won't get nerfed, but it's something that bothers me. I do think Dragon Druid is a deck that if you nerf Paladin could be left pretty unchecked, as its main bad matchup is Paladin. And like I mentioned earlier, a card you could look at is nerfing is Splish Splash Whelp. You saw the mulligan win rate. It's pretty absurd. And I do expect this card to possibly get adjusted. Okay, I'll say it'll get adjusted. What I would think is you make it 3 mana, like Wild Growth, but I think we're gonna get one of those like, remember that secret guy? Can't remember the name of it. It went from a 2/1 to a 1/1. I could see that happening. They hit the stats. They don't want to kill the deck. So a Splish Splash Whelp is absolutely a card I could see getting hit. But overall, Dragon Druid is just a really popular deck. I don't expect major nerfs for it. If there's one other card I would look at possibly nerfing for Dragon Druid, it is a Desert Nest Matron. 0 mana 3/5 taunt's pretty ridiculous, especially when you got like Take to the Skies and it's even bigger. Maybe take a health off of it, maybe make it refresh 3 mana crystals. It's the other card I could see getting hit, because yeah, Dragon Druid is like arguably the most popular deck on the ladder, and again, the only thing really keeping it in check is Paladin, so they probably would want to adjust it accordingly. Overall, I don't think you hit it too hard, because it is very counterable by like, you know, decks with board clears and all that, and it's pretty fun. It's a new archetype. I just, you know, wouldn't go too crazy on it. Hunter, although Hunter gets nerfed almost every single patch, I'm not going to nerf Hunter. I don't think Hunter will get nerfed. If anything, maybe something will get buffed, but overall, I think Hunter's in a decent spot. I don't see that happening. Mage is the interesting one, because you do have the whole Rainbow Mage with Sith, and it's still very contentious. And every single time I do a Mage prediction, I'm like, you know what? It's gotta be time. It's gotta be time for reverberations to go to 4. But it's not like an Outlier. It just a really feels bad card, but I'm just gonna say it every single video until it happens. Reverberations goes to 4 mana. I can't see them nerfing Sif yet. It's still not quite out there, but Sif, again, I would love it to start at 0. That's my preferred thing. Make it like that 7 mana spell. But the fact that they already nerfed the mech by 1 mana and didn't make that change on that one makes me think that Sif's probably not changing. And yeah, we'd probably get like 1 nerf for Mage max is my thought. And then we got Paladin. Paladin, of course, the class that people really don't like. One of the cards I hear the most that people really want to see get nerfed is Crusader Aura. I see this one come up all the time, but if you look at the stats for the card, it's not a driving force for its win rate. It is very much a win more card. It's the fact that they're able to get so much stats and so much ridiculousness early that you can't answer makes this card so punishing. And also, you know, Paladin can protect their stuff. So no, I do not think Crusader Aura will get nerfed. But there is one card I think is pretty safe to say will get nerfed. I think Hi-Ho Silverwing. 2 mana, 2/1, Divine Shield, Death Rattle, draw a Holy Spell. Mulligan win rates on it is insane. It's a card, it tutors a specific card. It's hard to remove. It's even almost aggressively statted, like 2/1. You can make this a 1/1. That's the change I would make to this card. Just again, get its lethality a little bit down. I don't think it's going to move the needle a ton for Paladin, but it is an adjustment I think could be done. Showdown is another card where you summon 3 3/3s and 3 more 3/3s. They're all 3/3s. Why isn't this 3 mana? But I don't know if it'll get nerfed. I feel like not, because it is more of an interesting card. It's what it enables with the Sea Giants and the Prismatic Beams of the world. But it could possibly go to 3. Boogie Down is a card that I think you just take the holy tag off of this card. It's one of the reasons that Garden's Grace comes out so ridiculously fast. You play a Boogie Down, you play a Boogie Down, 0 mana buffs. You can't really make it 4 mana because Cold Arms exists, and then what is this card? But honestly, I would just take the holy tag off of it. That is absolutely an option. And the 2 other cards that really stand out to me for Paladin are the AoE cards that just give like these aggressive decks no way to lose the board. Like Keeper Strength. This card to me, it's been a standout for quite a while where you just, how do you answer a board? They just buff any little thing, play this, your board's gone, they smack you in the face, they got to deal with that threat, and then they have more AoE and more board fill. It's just never ending damage coming down. I don't know if you make this 5 mana, you make the buff a +1/+1, or preferably it's just this minion can't attack face this turn, right? But that would be too much word on the tech, or too much text on the card. I don't see that happening, but this is a card to me that really stands out where I think it's probably pretty safe to predict that one. The safest one though is gotta be Prismatic Beam. This card is just, it's too cheap too easily. It could be 0 mana relatively easy, but just 1-2 mana. Such a ridiculously efficient board clear that also goes face. I could see this getting the Prison Breaker treatment where it only deals 2 damage to all enemies, or you just bump up the mana, make it 8, make it 9, make it 10, I don't know, where it just isn't as efficient and as a removal, a board clear. The only thing that's been sad is all the nerfs that have been happening to Paladin, aggro just keeps dominating, and then all the slower decks like Reno Paladin and stuff just die because they also use these cards too. So I do expect like 2 to 3 nerfs for Paladin. I think the most likely, I think Prismatic Beam and Hi-Ho Silverwing really stand out to me. And then it's down to like Boogie Down and Keeper Strength as maybe that third one. But I think Paladin does need a significant hit. Priest definitely doesn't need a nerf. Rogue definitely doesn't need a nerf at the moment. Shaman, I show the mulligan win rate. I think it's the only card in Shaman that really looks like it'll get nerfed in Dr. Holiday. I love this card. I think it's fun. Reno Shaman isn't really much of an outlier of a deck. It's just middling tier 2, but a card that is so good in the mulligan, it's just it's polarizing, right? Like, do they draw the card? Oh, they won the game unless I have a Viper or I'm playing Plague DK and I got the Plagues in the deck. And they just don't like high mulligan win rate cards like that. It's just, historically, they always get nerfed. So I would expect this to get nerfed. Whether it goes to 6 mana, you can alter the weapon. I had somebody in my chat recommend, what about making it a 1/9 weapon? that takes a lot of the burn out of it, which is a lot of the ways you kind of win. Gets like a Sith Mage, is you just smack them for 2 each turn. So there's that. You could nerf the stats, make it a 4/4, make it a 3/4. There's a lot of ways of going about it. I think it might just get bumped to 6. I think that kills the card. I just hope it stays playable. And also, if they nerf this, what's the dust refund good to be? Because this card literally cost $100. You had to buy 1 diamond bundle and then another diamond bundle, both $50 each. We'll have to see. And again, I think it's pretty safe. This card gets hit, considering the mulligan win rate. And, you know, like, you got to nerf to some of the stuff that, you know, Shaman's not great against Paladin. It gets a lot better when Paladin gets scaled back. Warlock, definitely not in a position to get nerfed. Warrior, I don't think gets nerfed either. There is one last card I will talk about that has been the talk of the town on ladder is Thaddeus, because of Fire Druid, which has really popped off lately, where basically you play Druid, you ramp up, and then you just get Thaddeus on the board, play a cover artist, and then play the minion that gives you infinite fire spells, and nothing costs mana. You go through your whole deck, you got your Titan and all that, you play Reno, and you can literally OTK with this deck if you're lucky or fortunate, like turns 4, 5, 6. It's very polarizing. It's a pretty recently emerging deck, and this is a card you'd have to hit if you're hitting Fire Druid, and this has already been nerfed once. It's almost like mass mana cheat and 0 mana cards aren't great for the game. I don't think it's get nerfed yet, but look out for that one. A lot of people have been talking about it. Nobody even brought it to Worlds though, so I feel like it's something that probably doesn't get hit quite yet, but it is something worth talking about. And it is quite scary. In terms of buffs, I really don't know. You're looking at Badlands cards, right? If you're buffing cards, Deathlight's in a good spot. The only card I keep bringing up, Maw and Paw. I'd love for it to lose an Unholy Rune. It's such a cool card, but the whole Unholy thing, I think, just kind of messes it up. Demon Hunter, I mean, if you look at the numbers, they kind of need help outside of this whole archetype. I don't know what you buff. You can make Kircher shoot more bullets. I don't know if you want that card to be better. I still think Snake Eyes should be 2 mana. That is definitely a consideration. I really don't know what you hit. I have no idea. They've already buffed this card to be a Fell spell. Maybe we just gotta wait for the mini set. I don't know, but maybe Snake Eyes, maybe Kurtrus. Druid's fine, Hunter is fine. Mage, I don't think you need to buff. Obviously not Paladin. Priest, you could buff a bunch of cards. You can make this 3 mana, make it deal more damage. You could possibly buff Springwater. You could maybe make Benevolent Banker have some better stats. You could buff Pip maybe to be cheaper, although Naga Priest has been emerging as a legit deck that runs this, so maybe not. Even people brought it to Worlds. Again, this card does absolutely nothing. You could make it 3 mana. Tram Heist could be 3 mana. Swarm of the Lightbugs, I think is fine as is. Like, it's just like there's not enough going on with it, but it's still a 5 mana 7/7 lifesteal with extra value on top of it. I wouldn't really buff that card, but again, those are all cards you could consider buffing, or at least maybe make her a mana cheaper. But again, her played win rate's actually insane. Reno Priest just isn't very good. For Rogue, it's all about the Excavate stuff, in particular, the reward. I pitch, get 4 random spells. They cost 1 less or 2 less or whatever, but I assume that they're going to buff this. This is like the only reward that hasn't seen any real play outside, I guess, the Warrior one too. Warlock did. It got killed quickly, but I think the only buff you really see is probably to the Azurite Scorpion, where the initial spells get some kind of mana cheat to go with it. And if you really want, you can make Shell Game 2 mana, but it really doesn't matter. Shaman, again, I want to see the elementals be better. I want to see Scar, or I'll make it easier to read on the text, where it's improved by each turn you've played an elemental. I just would love to see that change, that you don't have to play an elemental every single turn. And Warlock just needs more sludge cards. They don't exist, but you can make Furnace Fuel 3, so it feels less frustrating to play. I don't know. I gotta imagine they make the whole sludge thing work somehow, but outside of like making more sludge cards, I don't know what to do. So overall, I really don't know what to buff for Warlock. Warrior, again, You could probably, again, make reinforced plating, 2 mana, gain 5 armor. Slagma has to get buffed though, right? It's so slow, at the very least dormant for 6 turns. So then just like a couple excavates basically get you there, and they've already buffed the taunts. That's basically all you can really do. You can make Boom Boss 7, but do you want that card to be good? You never know. And neutrals, I don't know, Cactus Rangers of 5-2, that'd be sacrilegious. One card I do always bring up though, or I've been bringing up lately, is Miracle Salesman to a 2-1. I don't understand why a 1 mana 2-2 neutral to boot should really have an upside of giving you insane cheap burst or just cycle on your 2-drop or your 1 mana 2-2. I'd love to see it be a 2-1 so you're not taking 6 to 8 damage depending on what deck you're playing to a 1-drop that will also do later damage with that cycle. That is one consideration for neutrals in terms of nerfs. And in terms of buffs, I mean, can we, if there's one card to buff, is like, I mean, nobody talks about Gattlesnake. This could deal more damage, but can this guy at least deal 3 damage? Like, can he do something? This card's useless. Anyways, yeah, there's a lot of cards that can be buffed, a lot of cards that can be nerfed, but kind of my idea on it, I don't think Reno gets hit. It's the whole staple of this expansion for the most part, and Reno decks aren't thriving. There was like 2 at Worlds. You look at ladder, there's like 2 decks that are like near tier, like that are in tier 2 with above 50% win rate. It's like Druid, Shaman, and a little bit of Paladin. There really isn't much. Like, Reno is just not oppressive at the moment. Maybe later on, but I don't see him getting nerfed yet. Anyways, that's a lot of rambling. That's a lot of cards that could be changed. We'll see what happens. I do think it'll be a rather large patch, but I am thinking there'll be a lot more buffs than nerfs, or at least I'm hoping so, outside of Paladin. Anyways, let me know what you think about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.